So you bought your home back in 2018, 2019. You watched that Zillow number climb to something ridiculous in 2022. And then it just kind of slid back down. And now you're sitting on your hands, waiting for that peak number to come back before you list. Friend, I'm going to say this with love. That's not patience, that's a math problem. And every single month you wait, it's costing you money. Hey, I'm Krista Coore-Powell, Atlanta Realtor with eXp Realty, and this is Atlanta Real Estate Insider, the channel where we talk about what the listing is not telling you. And today we're going to talk about what the market is not telling you either, because I'll just wait for it to come back feels like the smart, safe play, but when you actually add up what waiting costs, it stopped looking safe real fast. Now, before we get into the numbers, your girl put together a free Atlanta home seller checklist, and a link is right there in the description. And listen, it's not just a list of things to fix before you list. It has a pricing worksheet built right into it that walks you through your current equity, your carrying costs, and what your real net proceeds look like in today's market, not 2022's market. Today's. So grab it now so you can run your own numbers right alongside me as we go. Links below. Okay, back to it. Let me start with what is actually true, because this is the part the doom and gloom headlines are going to leave out. If you bought INTOWN, Decatur, East Atlanta Village, Grant Park, Midtown, Reynoldstown, Inman Park, Summerhill, somewhere between 2017 and 2020, you are still sitting on serious equity. We're talking appreciation numbers that in almost any other decade would make you feel like a genius. Here are the real numbers. The median home price in Atlanta in 2019 was roughly $250,000 to $280,000. By the middle of 2022, it had climbed to around $458-ish thousand. That is nearly 80% appreciation in 3 years. And yes, from that peak, we saw correction. In town, we're sitting closer to a median price of $430,000 right now in July 2026, depending on the neighborhood and the product type. So the peak was about $450,000. Today's market is about $430,000. That's a $20,000 gap. But here's the question I want you to actually sit with. What is waiting for that $20,000 already cost you? This is where I need you to do a little math with me, because I'm waiting for the market to come back has a price tag, and most sellers have never once added it up. So let's put that into 3 buckets. I do love a bucket. Bucket 1, mortgage interest. If you've got a $300,000 balance at 4%, you're paying roughly $1,000 a month in interest alone. Not principal, interest. That is $12,000 a year going straight out the door. Wait 2 years, that's $24,000. What if your rate is higher than 4%? It's worse. Bucket number 2, taxes and insurance. So in DeKalb County, effective property tax rates run somewhere between 1.2% to 1.5%. On a home assessed at $350,000, that's $4,200 to $5,250 a year. Add homeowners insurance, call it another $1,500 to $2,500. So that's roughly $6,000 a year in holding costs beyond your interest. Bucket 3, and this is the sneaky one, opportunity cost. The equity sitting in your home right now is not working for you. It's just sitting there. If that equity were deployed, a down payment on your next place, an investment, whatever your next chapter looks like, it could be generating returns. Every month you wait, that money stays locked in a window that is not growing. Stack those 3 buckets for a seller who's waited just 12 months, and conservatively, we're talking $20,000 to $35,000 in combined carrying costs, lost opportunity, and interest. Now, put that next to the $20,000 you're trying to recover from the peak, and you see the problem, right? You could win the number and still lose the math. So if you need to move, what are you waiting on? Okay, so I know what some of you are already saying, Krista, but what if I wait just 1 more year? I'm going to be honest with you instead of just telling you what you want to hear, because that's the whole point of this chat. Here is what would actually have to happen to bring 2022 prices back in the near term. 3 things. 1, mortgage rates would have to drop significantly. We're talking sub 5%, and stay there long enough to unlock the buyers sitting on the sidelines. 2, supply would have to stay tight, which in town Mostly has, but new construction is adding inventory. And 3, demand would have to spike back to that 2021 frenzy with buyers waiving inspections, paying $50,000 over ask just to compete. None of those are impossible, but not one of them is guaranteed. And banking your entire timeline on all 3 of those things lining up before a job change, before a life change, before the kids age out of the school district you moved there for, that is not a strategy, friend. That is a gamble. And I am not, even though I'm in a soccer jersey, I am not a gambling one. And we don't need drama. We need a closing. So let's talk about what strong actually looks like right now. Let me show you what I'm actually seeing, because it's off its peak and bad are 2 completely different things. And the same headlines treat them like they're the same. I had a seller in Grant Park, a bungalow, walkable to the park, nothing exotic, but very cute. They came to me convinced their home was worth $50,000 less than the 2022 peak. Convinced. So we pulled the comps, because we always pull the comps. And their specific street, their specific floor plan, their specific finishes, the real gap, about $15,000, not 50. 15. And priced right, we had clean offers, real buyers, real financing, and a real closing in less than a month. That is the market right now. Not bidding wars at $50,000 over ask. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But well-priced homes in Decatur, Grant Park, Inman Park, East Atlanta Village, West Midtown are still moving on competitive timelines when they are prepared correctly. And here's the Atlanta piece the national narrative keeps missing. We are still one of the most in-demand relocation metros in the country. That's part of the beauty of me having this channel. I get relocation buyers because they find me here. People are coming from California, from New York, from Chicago, for the jobs, for the cost of living, for the culture. That demand does not evaporate because rates went up. Your home is still worth a lot. The real question is whether the number you're holding out for is worth what waiting is costing you. So here's what I want you to do before you decide anything. Get a real number, not a zestimate, not your neighbor's opinion, not what your home was worth in 2022. A real, current, comparative market analysis based on what has actually sold on your street, in your neighborhood, in the last 90 days. Because that Grant Park story, I see a version of that over and over again. The peak was inflated in ways that were never uniform, not across every neighborhood and not across every product type. Your home may have held far more value than you think. And once you know your real number, then you run your math. What are your carrying costs? What does your next chapter look like? What's the price of staying versus the price of going? Because the goal is not to be dazzled, the goal is to be informed. That's a strategy conversation. And that's exactly the kind I help sellers have. So if you're sitting on a home in the INTOWN corridor, Decatur, East Atlanta Village, Grant Park, Midtown, Sylvan Hills, and you're waiting for the market to come back before you list, I want you to have your real number. That free home seller checklist I mentioned, links in the description. It's got the pricing worksheet built in. Walk through your equity, your carrying costs, your real net proceeds in today's market. Grab it, run the numbers, and make this decision from a place of information, not hope. And if you want to talk through your specific situation before you do anything else, there's also a link to book a free seller strategy call. No pressure, no pitch, just the numbers. Strategy, not stress. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. And as always, make sure you know what the listing is not telling you.